The key slid into the lock with a familiar click, the sound grating on my already frayed nerves. Another double shift at the diner, another night of greasy smells and demanding customers. All I wanted was to collapse on my bed and forget about the world for a few hours. But as I pushed open the door to my room, a wave of disbelief washed over me. It was empty. Not just tidy, but completely, utterly bare. No bed, no desk, no posters on the walls, no overflowing bookshelf. Just nothing. "Mom," I called out, my voice trembling with confusion. "What's going on? Where's all my stuff?" My mother appeared in the hallway, a nonchalant smile plastered on her face. "Oh, Lena, you're home. We decided to redecorate a bit." "Redecorate?" I echoed, my voice rising. "By throwing out all my belongings?" "Don't be dramatic," she scoffed. "We just moved your things to the garage. Emily's dog needed more space." "Emily's dog?" I repeated, my voice laced with disbelief. "You gave my room to a dog?" "Well, he's a very important dog," she said, her tone condescending. "And you're hardly ever here anyway." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Hardly ever here, because I was working my ass off to help pay the bills, to contribute to a family that clearly didn't give a damn about me. Years of resentment of being overlooked and undervalued bubbled to the surface, the countless times I'd been told to be more like Emily. The endless stream of gifts and privileges showered upon my sister, the constant reminder that I was just the responsible one, the one who had to work hard and never complain. It all culminated in this final humiliating betrayal. My room, my space, my sanctuary had been given to a dog. Because apparently, a pampered poodle was more deserving than the daughter who actually contributed to the household. Something inside me snapped. The anger, the hurt, the years of suppressed emotions erupted like a volcano. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I simply turned and walked away. I marched to the garage, the sight of my belongings haphazardly piled in boxes fueling my rage. I grabbed a duffel bag, shoving in clothes, books, a few precious mementos. It wasn't much, but it was all I had left. As I walked out the front door, I could hear my mother's voice, faint and unconcerned. "Lena, where are you going? Dinner's almost ready." I didn't bother to answer. I didn't look back. I just kept walking, the weight of the duffel bag a small price to pay for the freedom I was finally claiming. I was leaving behind the only home I'd ever known, the family that had never truly loved me. And I swore, with every fiber of my being, that I would never return. The worn-out floral pattern of Sarah's couch seemed to mock me. Every creak of the springs, every sag in the cushions, was a reminder of my precarious situation. One minute I had a room, however unwanted, and the next, I was a refugee in my own life, crashing on a friend's couch with a duffel bag and a bruised ego. Sarah, bless her soul, was a lifesaver. She didn't ask too many questions, just offered me a place to stay and a sympathetic ear. But the pity in her eyes, the awkward silences, were a constant reminder of my failure. I felt like a stray dog, taken in out of kindness but always aware of my precarious position. "You'll get back on your feet, Lena," she'd say, her voice full of forced cheerfulness. "You're smart, you're capable. You'll figure it out." But her words felt hollow. What was I supposed to figure out? I had no money, no skills, no prospects. My resume was a pathetic list of part-time jobs and after-school gigs. The only thing I was qualified for was flipping burgers and serving lukewarm coffee. And that's exactly what I did. I bounced from one dead-end job to another, waitressing at a Greasy Spoon, cleaning houses for snooty housewives, folding clothes at a discount retail store. Each day was a monotonous blur of forced smiles and thankless tasks. The customers were rude, the bosses were demanding, and the pay was barely enough to cover my share of the grocery bill. "You call this a latte?" some entitled jerk would sneer, his face contorted in disgust. "It's lukewarm, and where's the foam? I asked for extra foam." Or, "You missed a spot," a haughty woman would shriek, pointing a manicured finger at a microscopic speck of dust on her antique armoire. "Do I have to do everything myself?" The disrespect was infuriating, the lack of appreciation soul-crushing. But it also fueled a fire within me, a burning determination to escape this life, to prove to myself and to everyone who had ever doubted me that I was capable of more. "You okay, Lena?" Sarah would ask, her brow furrowed with concern. You seem tense? I'm fine, I'd mumble, forcing a smile. Just tired. But I wasn't just tired. I was frustrated, restless, and desperately seeking a way out. I knew I had the potential, the drive, the intelligence to succeed, but I didn't know where to start. I felt like a ship lost at sea, tossed around by the waves, with no land in sight. Then, one rainy afternoon, a chance encounter changed everything. I was huddled in a coffee shop, trying to escape the dreary weather and the even drearier reality of my life, when I overheard a conversation at the next table. The real estate market is booming right now, a man in a sharp suit was saying. It's the perfect time to invest. I know, his companion agreed. I just flipped a property for double what I paid for it. It's like printing money. Real estate. The words echoed in my mind, a spark igniting in the darkness. I had never considered it before, but suddenly it seemed like the perfect opportunity. A way to build wealth, to create a future for myself, to finally escape the cycle of dead-end jobs and thankless tasks. As I listened to their conversation, a plan began to form in my mind. It was risky, ambitious, and completely out of my comfort zone, but it was also exciting. For the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this was my chance to turn my life around. The library became my new sanctuary. I devoured books on real estate investing, property management, and market analysis like a starving woman at a feast. Each page, each chapter, revealed a world of possibilities, a path to financial freedom and independence that I had never imagined. I was fascinated by the complexities of the market, the dynamics of supply and demand, the potential for profit and growth. I learned about different investment strategies, from flipping properties to long-term rentals, from developing land to building commercial spaces. The more I learned, the more confident I became. This wasn't just a pipe dream, it was a tangible goal, a realistic path to a better life. To gain practical experience, I took on a part-time job at a local real estate agency. It wasn't glamorous, answering phones, scheduling appointments, filing paperwork, but it gave me a glimpse into the inner workings of the industry. I observed the agents, their interactions with clients, their negotiation tactics, their marketing strategies. I absorbed everything like a sponge, eager to learn the tricks of the trade. You're a natural, Lena, Mr. Henderson, the senior agent said one day, after I had successfully calmed down a particularly irate client. You have a way with people, a knack for understanding their needs. Thanks, I replied, feeling a surge of pride. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. That's the right attitude, he said, nodding approvingly. This business is all about learning, adapting, and taking calculated risks. He shared his experiences with me, his successes and failures, his insights into the market, his advice for navigating the competitive landscape. I listened intently, taking mental notes, my mind buzzing with possibilities. The key is to find undervalued properties, he explained, properties with potential that others overlook. Then you add value renovations, upgrades, strategic marketing, and sell for a profit. It sounds simple enough, I said, though I knew it was anything but. It's not easy, he admitted, but it's incredibly rewarding. There's nothing quite like the feeling of transforming a dilapidated property into a beautiful home, or helping a family find their dream house. His words resonated with me. This wasn't just about making money, it was about creating something tangible, something valuable, something that could make a difference in people's lives. As the weeks turned into months, my confidence grew. I was no longer the scared, uncertain girl who had walked out of her parents' house with nothing but a duffel bag. I was a woman with a plan, a vision, a burning desire to succeed. I had found my calling, my purpose, my path to a better future, and I was ready to take the leap. I had saved every penny I could, scrimping and saving, sacrificing every luxury, every indulgence. It wasn't much, but it was enough for a down payment on a small, dilapidated property in a neglected neighborhood. It was a gamble, a huge risk, but I was determined to make it work. I could hear my parents' voices in my head, their dismissive comments, their warnings about my unrealistic dreams. But this time, their words didn't sting. They fueled my determination. I would prove them wrong. I would show them, and the world, that I was more than just the unwanted daughter. I was Lena Hayes, and I was going to build my own empire. The house was a disaster: peeling paint, cracked windows, a leaky roof, and a garden that looked like a jungle. It was the epitome of a fixer-upper. But beneath the grime and neglect, I saw potential. I saw a charming cottage, a cozy home, a blank canvas for my vision. I dove into the renovation headfirst, armed with a toolbox, a library of DIY books, and a healthy dose of naive enthusiasm. I learned to patch drywall, replace tiles, and unclog drains. I spent hours in hardware stores, comparing paint samples, haggling with suppliers, and deciphering building codes. It was exhausting, frustrating, and exhilarating all at the same time. "You want to do what?" the gruff contractor scoffed, his eyebrows raised in disbelief. "Rip out that load-bearing wall? Lady, you're crazy!" "I've done my research," I insisted, pointing to the structural engineer's report. "It's perfectly safe, and it'll open up the living space." He grumbled and shook his head, but he did the job. And I was right. The transformation was remarkable. The once cramped and gloomy living room became a bright and airy space, flooded with natural light. "This tile is all wrong," I declared, inspecting the bathroom with a critical eye. "It needs to be something classic, timeless, with a touch of elegance." The supplier, a bored-looking teenager, rolled his eyes. "Lady, this is the cheapest tile we got. What do you expect?" "I expect better," I retorted, my voice firm, "and I'm willing to pay for it. Show me your premium selection." He reluctantly led me to the back of the store, where I found exactly what I was looking for: a beautiful Italian marble, subtly veined with gray and gold. It was more expensive, but I knew it would make all the difference. Negotiating with contractors, suppliers, and even the occasional nosy neighbor became my new sport. I learned to stand my ground, to trust my instincts, to fight for what I believed in. It wasn't always easy, but it was always rewarding. Finally, after months of sweat and toil, the house was ready. I staged it carefully, highlighting its charm and character, creating an inviting atmosphere that would appeal to potential buyers. The for sale sign went up, and my heart pounded with anticipation. The first open house was a whirlwind of activity. Couples strolled through the rooms, their voices echoing with admiration. "This kitchen is amazing. I love the exposed beams. This garden is perfect for entertaining." Offers started coming in, each one higher than the last. I negotiated with each buyer, carefully weighing my options, my mind buzzing with numbers and possibilities. In the end, I accepted an offer that far exceeded my initial investment. The thrill of that first success was intoxicating. I had taken a risk, a huge gamble, and it had paid off. I had proven to myself and to everyone who had ever doubted me that I was capable of more than I ever thought possible. But more importantly, I had discovered a hidden talent, a passion for real estate that had been dormant within me, waiting to be awakened. I had found my calling, my purpose, my path to a better future. I didn't waste any time. I reinvested my profits, buying another property, then another. Each project was a new challenge, a new opportunity to learn and grow. I honed my skills, refined my strategies, and built a network of contacts. My real estate empire was starting to take shape, brick by brick, deal by deal, and I was just getting started. Word of my successes traveled fast in the close-knit world of real estate. It wasn't just the profits I was generating. It was my approach. I had a knack for finding diamonds in the rough, neglected properties that others dismissed and transforming them into something desirable, something valuable. I wasn't afraid to take risks, to challenge conventional wisdom, to trust my gut, and it was paying off. One day I received a call that changed everything. "Lena Hayes?" A smooth, authoritative voice boomed through the phone. "This is Arthur Sterling. I'd like to meet with you." Arthur Sterling. The name was legendary in the industry. He was a self-made billionaire, a real estate titan who had built an empire from scratch. I had read about him in magazines, seen him on television, admired his ruthless ambition and his uncanny ability to predict market trends. And now, he wanted to meet with me. The meeting took place in his opulent penthouse office, overlooking the city skyline. Sterling was an imposing figure, tall and broad-shouldered, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through me. He wasted no time on pleasantries. "I've been following your career, Miss Hayes," he said, his voice a gravelly baritone. You're impressive, bold, resourceful, and not afraid to break the rules. Thank you, Mr. Sterling, I replied, trying to maintain my composure. I appreciate the compliment. Don't thank me yet, he said with a wry smile. I'm not here to offer you a pat on the back. I'm here to offer you a partnership. My heart skipped a beat. A partnership? With Arthur Sterling? It was an opportunity that most people would kill for. I'm intrigued, Mr. Sterling, I said cautiously, but I'm not sure I understand what you have in mind. I'm looking for someone with your drive, your vision, your audacity, he explained. Someone who can help me take my business to the next level. Someone who's not afraid to think big. He leaned forward, his eyes gleaming with intensity. I'm offering you a chance to learn from the best, to access my resources, to become a major player in this industry, but it won't be easy. You'll have to work harder than you've ever worked before. You'll have to make tough decisions, take calculated risks, and sometimes you'll have to play dirty. I hesitated. This was a huge step, a potential game changer, but it also meant giving up some of my independence, my control. Could I trust this man? Could I handle the pressure? I need time to think about it, Mr. Sterling, I said, my voice firm. He nodded, a hint of respect in his eyes. Take all the time you need, Miss Hayes, but don't take too long. Opportunities like this don't come around every day. I didn't. After careful consideration, weighing the risks and rewards, I accepted his offer. It was a decision that changed my life forever. Under Sterling's mentorship, my business exploded. I gained access to capital, connections, and expertise that I could only have dreamed of before. I acquired larger properties, developed entire neighborhoods, and my name became synonymous with success. The unwanted daughter, the girl who had been cast aside, was now a force to be reckoned with. But even as I celebrated my achievements, a part of me remained grounded in the past. I hadn't forgotten the humiliation, the betrayal, the years of neglect, and as I scanned a list of potential acquisitions one day, a familiar address caught my eye. It was my old neighborhood. The street where I'd grown up, the house where I had been discarded like unwanted baggage. A flicker of revenge sparked in my eyes. This was my chance to reclaim my past, to rewrite the narrative, to show them all what I was made of. I reached for the phone, a cold smile playing on my lips. Get me the owner of this property, I said, my voice devoid of emotion. I want to make an offer they can't refuse. The sleek black pen felt heavy in my hand as I signed my name on the dotted line. Lena Hayes, I wrote, the letters bold and decisive, a stark contrast to the shaky signature of the elderly woman who had just sold me her family home. With that stroke of the pen, I became the owner of not just a house, but an entire neighborhood. My old neighborhood. A wave of satisfaction washed over me as I tucked the signed contract into my briefcase. The tables had turned. The girl who had been cast aside, deemed unworthy of even a room in her own home, now held the keys to the kingdom. It was a sweet victory, a testament to my resilience, my ambition, and my unwavering determination. I drove through the familiar streets, the houses a blur of faded paint and overgrown lawns. Memories flickered through my mind. Childhood games in the cul-de-sac, teenage angst hidden in the shadows of the old oak tree, the bitter sting of rejection as I walked away with my duffel bag, vowing never to return. But the bitterness was tinged with a newfound sense of triumph. I wasn't that scared, insecure girl anymore. I was Lena Hayes, the real estate mogul, the woman who had built an empire from scratch. I had overcome the odds, defied expectations, and achieved a level of success that my family could only dream of. As I passed my childhood home, a wave of emotion surged through me. The house looked smaller than I remembered, shabbier, almost pathetic. The once pristine lawn was overgrown, the paint peeling, the windows grimy. It was a reflection of the decline that had befallen my family, their fortunes fading as mine had soared. I thought about my parents, their blind devotion to Emily, their casual cruelty towards me. They had valued appearances, social status, and material possessions above all else. They had never seen my worth, my potential, the fire that burned within me. They had dismissed me as the unwanted daughter, the one who didn't fit their narrow definition of success. And Emily, the golden child, the pampered princess, What had become of her? I had heard whispers, rumors of reckless spending, failed ventures, and a string of broken relationships. The girl who had always had everything handed to her on a silver platter was now facing the harsh realities of the world, the consequences of her own entitlement and lack of ambition. A cold smile played on my lips as I pulled up a report on my tablet. It confirmed what I had suspected. My parents were struggling financially, their house facing foreclosure. Emily, drowning in debt, was desperately trying to sell her designer handbags and luxury cars. The irony was delicious. The time had come to pay them a visit, not as the defeated, unwanted daughter, but as the master of their fate, the queen of their crumbling kingdom. I had waited years for this moment, and I wasn't going to waste it. I parked my sleek Mercedes across the street from the familiar house, a stark contrast to the rusty minivan that sat in the driveway. A wave of nostalgia, mixed with a healthy dose of contempt, washed over me as I walked towards the front door. The chipped paint, the overgrown weeds, the general air of neglect. It was a testament to the decline of my family's fortunes. I rang the doorbell, the sound echoing through the empty house. A moment later, the door creaked open, revealing my mother. She looked older, frailer, her once perfectly coiffed hair now streaked with gray, but the most striking change was in her eyes. They were wide with a mixture of confusion and fear. "Yes?" she asked hesitantly, her voice a mere whisper of its former imperiousness. "Hello, Mother," I said, my voice cool and measured. "It's been a while." Recognition dawned on her face, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Lena?" she gasped, her hand flying to her chest. "Is that really you?" "In the flesh," I replied, a sardonic smile playing on my lips. My father appeared behind her, his face etched with shock. "Lena, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk," I said, stepping past them into the house. The familiar scent of stale potpourri and mothballs filled my nostrils, a pungent reminder of my childhood. They followed me into the living room, their faces a mixture of confusion and apprehension. "Lena," my mother began, her voice trembling, We didn't expect to see you. Is everything all right?" "Everything is wonderful," I replied, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "I'm doing quite well, actually." That's that's good to hear," my father stammered, avoiding my gaze. "We're glad." "Are you?" I challenged, raising an eyebrow. "Because I seem to recall a time when you weren't particularly interested in my well-being." They exchanged a nervous glance, their guilt evident. "Lena," my mother pleaded, "we made mistakes. We weren't the best parents to you, but we're sorry. We truly are." "Sorry?" I scoffed. "Sorry isn't enough to erase years of neglect and emotional abuse." "We know," my father said, his voice low, "but we hope you can forgive us." "Forgiveness is a luxury I can't afford," I replied coldly. "I'm here on business." Their confusion deepened. "Business?" my mother echoed. "What business?" I reached into my briefcase and pulled out the contract, placing it on the coffee table. "I'm the new owner of this neighborhood," I announced, my voice firm, "including this house." The blood drained from their faces. "What?" my mother gasped, her eyes wide with horror. "You're our landlord?" my father stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "That's right," I said, enjoying their stunned silence, "and I'm afraid your rent is overdue." Before they could respond, Emily flounced into the room, her face pale and drawn, her designer clothes rumpled. "Mom, Dad, I need—" She stopped abruptly, her eyes widening as she recognized me. "Lena?" she breathed, her voice laced with disbelief. "Hello, Emily," I said, my voice devoid of warmth. "Long time no see." "What are you doing here?" she demanded, her voice shrill. "Have you come to gloat?" "Something like that," I replied, a smirk playing on my lips. She turned to our parents, her eyes pleading. "Mom, Dad, tell her to go away. She can't just show up here and—" "Actually, I can," I interrupted, my voice cutting through her hysterics. "I own this house now." Emily's face crumpled, tears welling in her eyes. "Evicted? But where will we go?" "That's not my concern," I said coldly. "You had your chance, Emily. You squandered it." I watched as the realization of their situation dawned on them. Their arrogance, their entitlement, their blind faith in their own superiority. It had all vanished, replaced by fear, desperation, and a healthy dose of humiliation. It was a sight I had waited years to see, and it was glorious. The air crackled with tension. My parents, their faces pale and drawn, looked like they were about to crumble. My mother, her voice trembling, launched into a desperate plea. "Lena, please," she begged, her eyes filled with tears. "We know we wronged you. We were blind, selfish, foolish, but we're your family. Give us another chance. We'll make it up to you. We promise." My father, his voice thick with emotion, joined in. "We'll treat you like the daughter you deserve. We'll support your dreams, celebrate your successes. Just, please don't do this." I listened impassively, their words washing over me like waves against a rocky shore. Their apologies, their promises, their sudden outpouring of affection. It was all too little, too late. Where was this love, this support? When I was struggling, when I was sleeping on a friend's couch, when I was working my way up from the bottom. "Family?" I scoffed, my voice laced with bitterness. "You haven't treated me like family for years. You cast me aside, discarded me like a broken toy. You gave my room to a dog, for God's sake." "We were wrong," my mother insisted, her voice cracking. "We know that now, but family should stick together, especially in times of trouble." "Family?" I repeated, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Is that what we are now? Conveniently remembered when you need something? Where was this family when I needed a place to stay? When I needed a shoulder to cry on? When I needed a simple word of encouragement?" My words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of years of resentment. My parents, their faces etched with shame, had no response. They knew I was right. I reached into my briefcase and pulled out the eviction notice, the crisp white paper a symbol of their impending downfall. I handed it to my mother, watching as her face crumpled with despair. This is final?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "It is," I confirmed, my voice firm. "You have 30 days to vacate the premises." Emily, who had been standing silently in the corner, her face pale and tear-streaked, let out a choked sob. "This isn't fair," she wailed. "You can't just kick us out of our home." "Actually, I can," I replied coldly. "It's not your home anymore. It's mine." A flicker of satisfaction coursed through me as I watched them crumble. The arrogance, the entitlement, the smug superiority that had always defined them. It was gone, replaced by fear, desperation, and a healthy dose of humiliation. It was a sight I had relished in my dreams for years. But as I turned to leave, a pang of something unexpected tugged at my heart. Pity? Perhaps. Or maybe it was a lingering sense of sadness, a recognition of the family I had lost, the family I could never have. I paused at the door, a thought occurring to me. "One more thing," I said, my voice softening slightly. "You can have the garage. It's spacious enough for the three of you. And the dog, of course." I couldn't resist the jab, the sarcastic callback to my own eviction, but there was also a touch of mercy in my offer, a recognition that despite everything, they were still my family, broken, dysfunctional, and utterly undeserving, but family nonetheless. As I walked away, the weight of my decision settled upon me. I had achieved my revenge, exacted my justice, but the victory felt hollow, the satisfaction tinged with a lingering sense of emptiness. I had won the battle, but at what cost? I had proven to myself and to the world that I was strong, capable, and successful. But in the process, I had also become cold, ruthless, and unforgiving. Was this the woman I wanted to be? Was this the price of success? I didn't have the answers. All I knew was that I had to move on, to build a new life, a new family, a new future. A future where I was defined not by my past, but by my own choices, my own values, my own dreams. The slam of the car door echoed the finality of my decision. As I drove away from the house I'd grown up in, a strange sense of detachment settled over me. It was as if I were watching a scene from a movie, the emotions muted, the drama distant. This wasn't just a house. It was a symbol, a monument to a past that no longer held power over me. I was leaving behind the ghosts of rejection, the echoes of "you're not good enough," The sting of being the unwanted daughter. Instead of the familiar ache of resentment, a new sensation bloomed in its place, a sense of purpose. I wasn't just Lena Hayes, the girl who had been cast aside. I was Lena Hayes, the woman who had risen above, the one who held the reins of her own destiny. And as I surveyed the streets of my newly acquired neighborhood, a vision took shape. This wasn't just a collection of dilapidated houses, it was a community waiting to be reborn. I saw potential in the cracked sidewalks, the overgrown parks, the boarded-up storefronts. I envisioned tree-lined streets, vibrant playgrounds, bustling businesses. This wasn't just about profit, it was about revitalization, about creating a place where people could thrive, where families could flourish, where dreams could take root. My phone buzzed, and I glanced at the screen. Arthur Sterling. A wry smile touched my lips. He had an uncanny knack for knowing when I needed a guiding hand, a voice of experience. Lena, he boomed, his voice a warm rumble. I hear congratulations are in order. Quite the acquisition, that neighborhood of yours. Thanks, I replied, a touch of pride coloring my voice. It's more than just a business deal, though. I understand, he said, his tone softening. Sometimes the best investments are the ones that settle a score. I chuckled, surprised by his perceptiveness. Something like that. But don't let revenge consume you, Lena, he cautioned. It's a dish best served cold, but it can leave a bitter aftertaste. His words struck a chord. I had tasted that bitterness, felt the hollowness of my victory. I know, I admitted. I'm not proud of how I handled things with my family. There's no shame in seeking justice, Lena, he said. But true strength lies in forgiveness, not for their sake, but for yours. His words resonated deep within me, planting a seed of self-awareness. I had a long way to go, but I was finally on the right path. I spent the next few weeks immersed in plans for the neighborhood's revitalization. I met with architects, contractors, and community leaders, eager to collaborate, to create something truly special. The work was challenging, demanding, but also incredibly fulfilling. I was building something tangible, something lasting, something that would make a difference in people's lives. As I surveyed the progress, a sense of accomplishment washed over me. I had come so far, overcome so much. The unwanted daughter, the girl who had been cast aside, was now a woman of influence, a force for positive change. I was proud of my achievements, but I also knew that this was just the beginning. I looked towards the future, filled with a renewed sense of hope and determination. I had built my empire, brick by brick, deal by deal. But the true foundation of my success wasn't money or power, it was resilience, perseverance, and the unwavering belief in myself. I was ready to take on the world, to make my mark, to leave a legacy that would inspire others to rise above their circumstances and achieve their dreams. The unwanted daughter had found her place, her purpose, her voice, and she was just getting started. The ballroom shimmered with a constellation of chandeliers, the air alive with the clinking of champagne glasses and the murmur of polite conversation. I stood on the stage, a spotlight illuminating me as I accepted the Entrepreneur of the Year award. The applause was thunderous, a symphony of appreciation for my achievements. I was the toast of the town, a symbol of female empowerment, a testament to the power of hard work and determination. Lena, you're an inspiration, a woman with fiery red hair and a confident stride said, approaching me after the ceremony. I admire your guts, your vision, your refusal to be defined by your past. Thank you, I replied, genuinely touched by her words. It means a lot coming from someone like you. She was the CEO of a tech startup, a self-made millionaire who had overcome her own share of obstacles. We exchanged stories, sharing our experiences, offering support and encouragement. I was no longer alone in this journey. I had found a tribe, a network of powerful women who were changing the world, one brick, one code, one deal at a time. Later that evening, a familiar face emerged from the crowd. Miss Johnson, my high school English teacher, her eyes twinkling with pride. Lena, she exclaimed, it's so wonderful to see you again. You've become quite the success story. It's good to see you too, Miss Johnson, I replied, a warmth spreading through me. I always appreciated your encouragement. You were always a bright student, Lena, she said, her voice filled with genuine admiration. but I never imagined you'd achieve such incredible things." Her words were a balm to my soul, a validation that transcended any award or accolade. I had come full circle, from the insecure teenager struggling to find her place to the confident woman who had built her own empire. As I surveyed the crowd, a wave of quiet satisfaction washed over me. I had defied the odds, overcome the challenges, and emerged victorious. The unwanted daughter, the girl who had been cast aside, was now a force to be reckoned with. I looked out at the city skyline, the twinkling lights a reflection of my own journey. This was my city, my empire, my legacy. I was no longer invisible, no longer defined by the limitations imposed by others. I was Lena Hayes, the girl who built an empire, and I was just getting started.